So, Paul, where do you want to see LeBron play next season?
I mean, the only place I could envision him playing is the Lakers or the Cavs, truthfully. If you want to go out, LeBron got to give us a farewell tour because of the decorated career that he's had and the things that he's accomplished. I don't see him leaving, right now. So I can see him in Cleveland. I can see him in L.A. I don't know if anywhere else really makes sense. I know Rick is going to say something tricky. And
Tricky Ricky.
Exactly. He's going to say something tricky, but the only two places I ever see LeBron is, and I don't think it's hard to leave L.A. Once you get to L.A. and then at the age of 40, you don't want to uproot your family at this stage and go somewhere else. So the only place I see is Cleveland and L.A.
Yeah, he'll be back in L.A. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Opted out not to go nowhere else, but opting out for the financials or whatever the case may be to help the situation out. But if, in fact, he stays in L.A., which I'm assuming he is, they've got to find another guy. They just got to. Whether you want to push him to the third spot or not, they've got to get somebody behind Luka, and they also have to kind of make the team Luka-centric, right? Put everything, build it around him. Because even when LeBron is gone in 2026, at the end of that season, let's assume he's gone at the end of 26, you got to be thinking about the future and Luka moving on for the next, decade or so.
But you can't get that guy.
Why can't
if he stays in L.A.?
Why?
Because he's staying for $52 million, and you got Luka's contract, and you got Austin Reeves' contract, you got Rui Hachimura's contract. You just don't have.
Move them.
Okay, to get a guy.
I don't know what guy.
You're talking about a number 2 guy.
Just a guy who. I mean, I don't know what a number 2 guy would look like, Rick, but something better than what our third guy is now, which many people say is Austin Reeves, is better than our third guy now. And move LeBron into that third slot, so to speak. And when he needs to become the one again late in games or something along those lines, he can do that.
2 weeks ago, we were saying that Austin Reeves was the best third option in the league. Now he needs something better. Come on, can we stop making excuses for the Lakers,
No, we
for
can't.
LeBron, for Luka, for JJ?
No.
Can we stop making excuses?
No.
Who was saying that Austin was the best third option in the league?
Somebody
Rick said that.
No, I did
Rick
not.
100% said that.
I did not.
You did say that.
Without question.
I remember you said that.
Did you say that, Rick?
I did not say it.
I copped to it. I said it. And many other people felt that way until the blank hit the fan. And when the blank hit the fan, the true colors.
The playoffs hit the fan.
Instagram models showed up.
It kind of,
the lights came on.
The lights came on.
The lights came on. 2 o'clock. Let's turn that light on.
He's not a bad player, so to speak. There's no question about it. But he is not the guy that becomes our number 2 guy, so to speak, when the LeBron James
you can't go
is struggling
2% from 3.
Yeah, you just can't. And I like him. He's cool. He get billboards all over town. All those things, Rick, that's cool.
He was a lemon.
Well, I didn't want to give him any free credit.
He was a lemon.
But at the end, we got to get another guy. Now, who that guy is, I don't know.
Okay, but you want to see LeBron in L.A.
This is the only look.
No. I'm just going by the question because
I do.
How I answer it.
Rick is answering this question very literally, with emphasis on you want.
Yes. What do you want to see LeBron play? I mean, the reality is he's not going anywhere. He's staying in LA. But if I had my choice, if it was going to make things interesting, because the truth is, I don't really care all that much because he's not the LeBron James that was must-see TV all the time. So if I'm going to make this last year or two interesting, then I've got one of 2 places. Either he goes to Dallas and he reunites with AD and with Kyrie, and he's a player.
You did not just say that.
I said exactly that, and I did not stutter.
Goes to Dallas.
He goes to Dallas, and he's the player coach, and he has AD and Kyrie, and he reunites, and we get to see what that looks. Because that would be entertaining to me.
I'm having hot take classes on Saturday.
I know you are. I saw the flyer outside.
I saw the flyer? Okay.
Or he goes to New York, because New York has wanted him forever, and he's still in a huge market. They finally get their opportunity to have LeBron James. May not be at the time that they wanted him, but I would say one of those 2 places. Because to your point, the reason why seeing him with the Lakers is just a difficult fit is because you're trying to turn the page and make this Luka Dončić's team.
Yes, that's correct.
You can't fully do that as long as LeBron James is in a Lakers uniform. That's just the reality. It's not his fault. It's just the reality.
But why can't you? If he's
for the same reason that Kevin Durant and Paul George and all these guys never came to the Lakers.
But
because he takes up all the oxygen in the room.
Yeah,
simply because he's LeBron James.
But he took up all the oxygen in the room over the last 19, 20 years.
Okay.
This is we're talking about moving forward in a different time frame. He is now understanding that he's not the same guy. That's why when Luka came, he took somewhat of a back seat.
It's not intentional on his part.
I understand.
It's more the media and the fans. They are consumed with LeBron wherever LeBron is.
I don't think here in L.A. right now, as we sit today, being a Laker fan and know many people in L.A. that are Laker fans, we're not consumed with him being LeBron James anymore. That boat has sailed.
So who are you consumed with?
With Luka.
But you're not going to be fully consumed by him. You can't eat that meal until you move the other
problem
one
is
out of the way.
LeBron will never play a role.
He played a role this year, though, when they got Luka to ball.
Not really.
Let's be fair.
He still was big dog in the room. So teams, as long as LeBron is on any team, those as the lead dog, you're done being a contender. He can't be the lead dog on a contender.
So you think he still was you still think after we acquired Luka, he still was the lead dog?
Yeah, because you gotta his presence alone. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna get his 25, no matter how he get it. He's gonna get his 25.
And we're gonna take that 25.
But it's not the same 25 he got that led to
exactly.
Playoff.
But I think this year is tough to gauge. This was an unexpected trade in the middle of the season from a team with AD leaving a team that was built for AD and LeBron to bring Luka in. We had a lot of questions about what it was going to look like, got sold on it, and then in the playoffs saw what it was actually looking like.
Yeah.
So if they make some changes to the roster next year, I do believe that LeBron will make the effort in a Dwayne Wade-esque way to make Luka be the guy.
And Joyce
you didn't have enough time this season to do that, really, to have that changeover. Because right now, of course, it's LeBron's team, and even if LeBron deferred to Luka right now, there wasn't enough time for all of the roster, all of the everything to switch over to Luka being the guy. Now you have a whole offseason of that shift being made.
Yeah,
for all of the, for all that we know LeBron is, he cares about winning. I do believe that he wants to win. And he's one of the most intelligent basketball players that has ever played the game. So he knows how to win at this point. And that's not going to happen if he is truly the lead guy going into next season. Nor do I think he even wants to be. I mean, he's going to be 41 next year. He can turn it over to Luka, still be able to get the production that he has and has the ability to do, and it look different. The reality is he's going to be with the Lakers next year. And I would hate for this to be the end of LeBron's career. It's just too anticlimactic. This is how it's ending? LeBron's career, this is how it's going out. We need to know that this is LeBron's last year going into the season. Not that he needs to make the announcement, but it needs to be sort of understood that we're watching the end of LeBron James. The NBA deserves that. LeBron deserves that. Quite frankly, the Lakers deserve that. And Luka, I do think, could really benefit from a true offseason with LeBron James. We're going to get to, some of the conversations around Luka and the complaints around Luka in just a second, but no one prepares better for a season than LeBron James. No one takes better care of their body than LeBron James.
Paul, do you think this, I'll ask all three of you, no, I'm not going to ask you.
Jeez.
That side of the panel, because I know what your answer is. Do you think that the Lakers can have a better season next season than they had this year?
I do.
I don't. Because I don't see, the reason is because other teams is getting better. Houston is going to still be good again because they're young. OKC is going to be OKC, and then you're going to have teams that's going to merge. Dallas will be better.
You don't think they can put together a team that could win a first-round series next year?
That's a good one. I don't know. I think their contending days are over right now with LeBron.
Well, I mean, for a championship maybe, but I think they could. If Luka is healthy at the end of the season next year, and they revamp this roster, JJ's in another year of coaching. I'm setting the bar low here, but that they could win a playoff series.
if they revamp the roster, there's possibilities that they can win. Because, I mean, Luka has shown the ability to carry teams, and I'm giving them that, of course. But they got to do some major overhaul. They definitely got to get a big man, a presence on the inside,
a lob threat.
Yeah, and yeah, so definitely, you know, I never count out guys on the level these guys play at. You know, when you got Luka and LeBron, these guys play at a high level. So when you just them two alone can get you to the playoffs. And so if they can make some adjustments, they can be in contention. But LeBron has to take another step back, I believe, for that to happen. Like, they have to bring somebody that's kind of like better than LeBron at this stage for them to contend. And that got to be like a guy like Giannis. But I don't know if they can get a Giannis, but maybe they can, or a Joker. Got to come in.
I think they could, look, I don't know that they would be able to put themselves in a position to make a deep playoff run or win a championship, but I think they could make some tweaks to this roster, potentially bring in another star, and hand the franchise over to Luka. Like, that was the plan with this trade, for this to be a long-term move. Obviously, LeBron was not going to play for the rest of Luka's career. So I think if they made those changes, again, setting the bar low, I think they could win a first-round series, which would technically be a better finish than, you know, getting a gentleman's sweep against the Timberwolves.
The tricky part is if you're going to get that number 2, and you're going to package a couple of the players that you have now in order to do that, that then
deplete the bench.
Impacts your depth. So you have a number 2, but then you don't have a whole lot else. And
that's where the scouting, that's where the Rob Pelinkas of the world have to figure out. Because if you look at the depth that we have now, based on the playoffs and what we've seen them do on our bench, are you jumping for joy for that?
No.
You can find that. You can find that.
Sure, but that wasn't good enough.
But we also didn't have that other guy to add to the mix. So if you add that other guy and you keep some of those same type of bench players, you're looking at a totally different roster.
Okay, but you're taking out Rui and Austin.
Maybe.
That's what I keep hearing, right?
Yeah.
Taking out Rui and Austin to get that number 2. I mean, first of all, Austin Reeves has taken way too much grief. He's an undrafted player. He is a major overachiever.
It was a win.
He's never rated himself as I'm the number 2 or the number 3 or anything else. And now because he wasn't good enough for what the Lakers needed.
What a reality.
Now he's getting killed.
What's the reality? What's the reality?
Okay, but fine. But
what we thought it wasn't that.
Yeah, but that's not his fault. You overrated him.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. But when you look at it as an organization or fans or whatever, and you saw him over the last couple of years continue to grow, you're looking at it up against Minnesota and these young dudes that could high fly, high wire acts, and you say to yourself, we can't do this again.
He's not that.
You can't.
You're right.
We like him in his role, but
you got to update your information.
You got to update your information.
Well, JJ Redick also made some news with his comments after the Lakers' elimination. Ooh, boy.
That was explosive. I heard it when our meeting in the pregame, but I heard it now. That was explosive.
How should Luka take those?
That was direct shot at Luka. Because all we've been saying since the trade is he's going to get in better shape. He'll get in better shape under JJ, under LeBron. He like that's a direct shot at Luka Dončić.
How do you feel?
Man, you know what? As a competitor, Luka, like, I know how I would feel. I'll feel like, you know what? He right. Sometimes you gotta just take one on the chin and just be like, all right, you know what? The coach is right. You gotta look at the tape and you gotta show him. Look, you getting blown by, you're not giving the effort, you tired, all of this, and take it with a grain of salt and just be like, all right, you know what, you right, I gotta get better. Because this is the thing about guys like Luka, great players. You gotta find something that's gonna make you better each and every year. The only thing Luka gotta do is get in better shape. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to the offseason like, all right, yeah, I gotta get in shape, but I gotta work on this. I gotta work. He got the whole in and out of the offensive game that you can have. So now you got to work on his defense, but that comes with giving better effort, getting back in shape, and that was a direct shot at him. And, you know, sometimes in order to be great, you got to get out your comfort zone. And JJ made it very uncomfortable for Luka, and I hope he takes this and soaks it all in and say, all right, yes, I do got to get better. I have
a real question for you. I'm not being sarcastic. Is this Luka shape or is Luka out of shape?
Well,
Because he's giving you 30.
That right there?
Giving you
Okay.
30 for sure.
Yeah, that gives you 30 every night.
That gives you 30 plus.
What else
I mean,
you wanna see?
Jokic isn't running around looking
He's
like
tired.
The Rock.
He's tired, though, his effort.
But he's always been a slower player.
Like,
that's his style. So is he actually out of shape, or does he not look the way that we want him to look?
No.
And by we, I mean everyone else, because I don't care.
No, he's not in the condition that he could be in. We saw it with Nikola Jokic. He's never going to be cut, right? He's never going to have definition. But we've seen him over the last 2 years get to a place where he's able to run up and
So his
down,
cardio is
where he's
better.
at least able to get back on defense, whether he's going to stay in front of somebody or not. I just want to read you something. This is from an article, December 7th, 2021. This is Mavericks superstar Luka Dončić. Acknowledged that his conditioning has got to be better. People are going to talk about it, yes or no. And he had 28.6 rebounds and 9 assists in the loss. I know I've got to do better. Through going back to his second year when he was coming out of COVID and he spent the downtime in Slovenia and came back out of shape. And his trainer said, he's out of shape. This has been a recurring theme over the course of his career. And yes, has he put up the numbers? Absolutely. But has he been the best that he could possibly be? That's the question. Can you sustain it? And can you play at a faster pace when we need you to?
I mean, I'm first team. Listen, the thing, I'm first team All-NBA every year. I'm averaging 30. I'm All-Star, man, MVP talks. What more do you want from me?
Well, I think they want a championship, and until he wins one, they're going to keep saying. I'm with you, Paul. I don't like. He looks like he's in shape to me. But if you're one of the best players in the league, and you haven't won a championship, then we, us, the collective, the fans, the media, the business, is going to be critical of you because there has to be a reason, right? And
yes.
to Rick's point, this has been a recurring conversation. JJ Redick just said it. So to me, this is always confusing. If you're one of the best, how do you not see the hole in your game if that's really there?
It's a recurring narrative.
But I'm averaging
what it is.
30.
But you're making it sound like it's made up.
It's a recurring narrative because the dude gave, you just read that from 2021.
Yep.
He averaged 28, whatever that was. And now we done 4 years later, he's still giving you 30.
Yeah.
Right? He's still giving you 30. He's never going to be cut up. He's not going to look like
I don't care about
the
that. I don't
Rock.
care what he looks like.
That's not ever going to happen. At the end of the day, Rick, you can't tell me as a professional athlete, and neither can you, Paul, you run up and down the damn court every night, every other night, and you're not ever going to get into any type of shape? Doesn't work like that. I've been a professional athlete. If I'm playing every damn day and night, I'm just naturally going to get into shape.
Sure.
Right.
I'm not going to be fat and blubbery and looking like a doughboy. Right. It's not going to happen.
I'm not talking about he's got to go to 24-hour fitness. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, and you guys saw it. We saw it in the finals last year.
That's called effort.
That's it right there.
That's what it's called,
That's
Rick.
what it is. That's what it is.
I just want people to stop saying he's out of shape.
I just don't. That's why
he's
I
not
asked
out of shape.
Because I'm like,
You're right about that.
He's
That's
running
what
up
it
and
is.
down the same court
every day. You cannot tell me.
Which kind of shape is he in? Like, what shape?
It's a mindset they need him to get.
What you want him to? You want him to sprint? That's not his DNA.
No, I want him to be in the kind of condition that allows him to be a factor when he's getting up and down. There's times where he just stops. He stops moving.
But that's him.
Running.
That's effort. That has nothing to do with shape. He just stops because
so he just doesn't care.
Okay, so now if we want to use care, we can use care and use that narrative, and everybody will start that now.
All I know is that for whatever reason, that against the Boston Celtics, he lost his composure with the referees.
But that's something different. That's another. That's
and they
different.
exposed him,
But
and they exposed him at the defensive end.
That's different, though. We're talking about losing composure. Has nothing to do with being in shape. Losing his composure has nothing to do with shape.
Okay.
But you telling me that he's not in shape, so therefore it affects his mind? Is that what we get ready to do now?
I mean, because if he's
fatigue,
tired,
fatigue makes cowards of us all.
Yeah,
is the old line.
There you go. But
Ricky, stop.
What? But look, I didn't even say it.
Yeah, I mean, we are.
JJ Redick said
he didn't.
He needs to be. No. You cannot. No.
Okay, so this is your team.
Yes.
Who else is he talking about?
Yeah, who else could he possibly be talking about?
Yeah, he might be talking about.
Not a chance. Go ahead.
How should Luka?
Go ahead, name
how
one.
should
He might be
Luka
talking about
feel
Austin
about
Reeves.
his
He could be
Sonics?
talking about
Stop it.
How
He could be talking about Cleveland. Maybe,
Come on.
you know, maybe it's
how
next.
should Luka feel about
Max
the Sonics?
Kleber.
He should certainly.
That's the only
He should
possibility.
certainly, if he feels that he is talking about him, which he probably does, he should take it serious. But what I will say to JJ Redick and anybody else, be careful. Be careful alienating him.
You're right.
Just be careful.
You're right.
And I don't know if JJ's ever maybe he had the exit interview and it was a one-on-one conversation and he said to him, hey, here's what we got to do. We got to get a little bit better in shape. And I'm going to go, when I speak, I'm going to let people know this is our championship. We need to get into shape.
Yeah.
Maybe he did that. But if he didn't or didn't, you got to be careful.
This
That you don't alienate him to the point where he's like, man, I ain't got time to deal with this because I feel I'm good because I'm hitting 30 every night.
But he's admitted to himself that he needs to be in condition. He said it himself. I need to do
back in 2021. We're no longer in 2021.
You know what? I can pull
man.
something out from 2023. This thing has been a recurring theme. This is what JJ should have done. To your point, you have a fair point.
I'm always fair and I always have a point. But go ahead.
Sometimes you have one that's a little sharper than others. What JJ Redick should have done is made it from his personal experience.
Yeah.
Because JJ Redick, when he was a sophomore at Duke, Coach K, Chris Collins, assistant coach, said to him, because at the time, JJ was a partier, and JJ was out of shape. And Chris Collins said to him, you know what? You know what sucks is we're not going to find out how good you could be.
Until you get in shape.
And he left it there. And JJ knew what he meant. And they went to the Final Four, and they lost to the UConn. And Coach K said to him, you know why we didn't win a championship? Because you are not worthy of being a champion. And he said those words hit him. Those two statements by those two men hit him right between the eyes, and he turned around and became a two-time Player of the Year. They never won a championship, but it transformed who he was because he didn't want to. What's that?
No, he was two-time Naismith.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. Wow. He didn't want to miss out on what I could possibly be. And for me, that's the heart of this with Luka Dončić, is as great as he is. We've talked about it from the very beginning. He should be winning championships.
I just don't think that he will ever be a defensive whatever.
There is a time where you take your game to the next level.
Yeah, it's just effort.
And that's
it really is. It really is.
LeBron James was not a great defensive player in Cleveland. He went to Miami and he became a much, much better defensive player.
Yeah, but they also emphasized it in Miami.
Absolutely.
He gave the effort in Miami and all of those things. And maybe
what?
The effort.
Effort.
Yeah,
Okay. Before we go, let's talk about the breaking news of the day. Gregg Popovich stepped down as the head coach of the Spurs today after nearly 30 years in that role. Pop will continue as the team's president, but leaves coaching with 5 NBA championships and the most wins of any head coach in league history. Rick, you've done many interviews with Pop and written many stories over the years about the Spurs. Do you think that Pop is the greatest coach in NBA history?
I don't put him there. I put Red Auerbach at the top, even though I did not experience Red Auerbach. I just know. Even though Keith says I did not. I was not around for that. But the accomplishments of the Celtics and all of honestly, a lot of the innovation that he had, I put him there. But I put Gregg Popovich right behind him. And largely, while he hasn't won as many championships and didn't win back-to-back championships, which I believe is a big thing, for 22 seasons, he guided the San Antonio Spurs to the playoffs. 22 straight seasons. And he developed any number of players over that time. Yes, Tim Duncan was a centerpiece to all of that, but he developed a Kawhi Leonard. He developed a Tony Parker. Just the length of his success. And I had as many conversations with him that weren't for a story, that weren't an interview. And I first met him when he was an assistant coach with the Warriors the first year that I covered the league. And He was my relationship with him off the court was as much as any I've had with an NBA coach, and it was always he always cared more about like how's the family, how are your kids doing, and it was completely different than when we were on the camera and you were interviewing him, and he could be like, and I told him one time, I said, Pop, listen, when I was doing sideline, when you have the in-between quarter, and he hated it because he's like, I'm supposed to be talking to my team. I'm not supposed to be doing some damn interview, right? Mm-hmm. And so I said to him, Paul, Pop, I said, look, I'll ask any question you want, just so you won't like feel badly. And he said, well, what do you mean? I go, it looks like we have a relationship, and it looks like you're eating glass when we're on camera. And he said, you know what? I'm sorry. I'll try to do better. And then that game between quarters, I went up, and as soon as the red light went on the camera, I could feel it from him. He was like, you didn't want to be there. And it was a terrible interview. And I was like, you know what? He is who he is. But
yeah, Red once said you was his favorite
I didn't meet
beat
Red.
writer. His favorite beat writer to cover him. You know?
Yeah.
So, but no, it's easy for me. It's Phil Jackson. When I look at the Chicago Bulls before Phil,
yeah,
after Phil, I look at the Lakers before Phil. In that short time he took off, I look at the Lakers again. Then when Phil came back, 11 championships, two different type of teams with Shaq and Kobe and Powell and Kobe and Jordan and all. It's him. That's what it is for me.
But man,
and Pat Riley's right behind him because Pat came out of the stands and looked down there and said, I'm going to coach this to a championship, and got it done
in Miami,
after sitting in the stands in Miami. And then if you talk about his experience as an administrator and front office guy and putting championship teams together, you add that into the mix on top of Showtime, getting shooed in as the head coach out of nowhere, and then running with the Showtime and the three-peat and the whole deal. So that's it for me. Those two guys. The rest of the guys are all even.
I mean, I think when it comes to coaching, unlike players, unless someone is just so far ahead, it really becomes a bit of preference and history. I mean, you're talking about Red. Phil obviously is up there, Pat Riley, but Popovich is in that conversation. And I think when it comes to coaching in any league, whether it's college, whether it's NBA, whether it's football, that there's like a group of guys that just are in that conversation. They can't really be a GOAT of coaching. You're coaching in different eras. You're coaching with different rules. You're coaching with different players, and you have NIL. Like, how do you really judge who the greatest coach is? But Popovich, to me, is somebody that if you're around NBA circles, there's like this reputation that the Spurs have. Like, if you've been in the Spurs system, if you've been a Spurs coach, if you've been a Spurs player, if you've worked for that organization, much like the Patriots when Belichick was there, and they kind of shared a lot of information and styles.
Yep.
They just had a system, a culture that was very unique, very organized, very detailed, very family forward, and you know Popovich a little bit about his personality and his morals, that he comes across as this very, that guy. It's like a very
abrasive
tough,
dude,
stoic, abrasive man, but he's a very complex person. And I think that the legacy that he leaves with the NBA is kind of hard to contextualize. And for young people to understand how dominant the Spurs were and the style of play that they had while, having this quiet, gentle giant of Tim Duncan be as dominant as they were. I mean, people don't even think of Kawhi Leonard as a Spur anymore. But, like, he's a champion there.
Yep.
So I think I have just an immense amount of respect for Popovich, and to do it for as long as he did and have the success that he's had there, he's one of the greatest, without a doubt, to me.
When I think about greatest coach, I think the first thing that comes to our mind is like, all right, wins, championships. But when I sat here and listened to y'all three and I really, really started thinking about it, I think Pop is, because I look at his coaching tree.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yep.
Look, when you think about all these coaches, Phil and Pat Riley, who did they have under them and who expanded beyond them to become great coaches?
It's a great point.
You know what I'm saying? That was under their tutelage. We can't really think of them, right?
I know Phil, all his guys kind of expired after a couple years. Yeah, after they left
but
him.
like when you think about Pop, who's had, like Steve Kerr is one of them.
Yep. Mike Budenholzer.
Mike Budenholzer. Right now, Ime Udoka.
Yep.
Like, his coaching tree is one of the best ever.
Becky, right?
Becky Hammond.
Becky Hammond.
Like, think about that. So when you start thinking about, like, who did they make better? You got to look at that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's a conversation that they have a lot about Bill Belichick, because Andy Reid has such an elaborate coaching tree, and it's not as, it's more successful than Bill Belichick. So that's a conversation you bring up that I think is very fair when it comes to coaching. And that's what I meant about the Spurs organization. Like, if you're a part of that organization and that's on your resume, it means something different, because everyone in the NBA circles know what comes with that. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.